Now, NEO just finally confirmed that for the month of September, they are still expecting to sell over 20,000 vehicles. This is something that is pretty exciting because the 60,000 that we have been saying or projecting has been finally confirmed by NEO to say that in fact they are expecting to sell somewhere between 61 and 63,000 in Q3. Ladies and gents, the Q2 earnings just came out and this is the information we just got there. In terms of total revenues, NEO generated for Q2 $2.4 billion and the earnings per share came 30 cents. Now for the earnings per share, you know that analysts were expecting an EPS of minus 35 cents and we saw NEO reporting better than expected earnings per share of negative 30 cents. This is something that is pretty exciting. The only thing that NEO missed on was just the total revenues they generated because analysts were expecting a $2.45 billion worth of revenue and NEO sold 2.4 billion, or NEO reported 2.4 billion on the dot, which is something that is still pretty exciting. Now something that was very interesting is the gross profit that NEO generated for quarter 2, which is $232 million, which represented over 1,800% increase year over year. I mean, just have a look. I mean, let's process this a bit. The kind of profit or gross profit that NEO generated in Q2, it is up, or it surpassed that gross profit they reported last year around the same time by 1,841%. I mean, this is so amazing, so incredible. I mean, gross margin came at 9.7%. Last year in Q2, gross margin was at 1%. Last quarter, we saw gross margin coming at 4.9%, which to get to see it almost at a double digits, 9.7% is the gross margin that NEO is currently sitting at. It's just so amazing, incredible, right? So many of the people were thinking because of the discounts we are going to see gross margins seriously being compromised because of the discounts which NEO has been offering or has been giving to those that are buying their cars, and it appears that once again we got to see a surprise because, ladies and gents, analysts were not expecting this. Even in fact, on vehicle margin, analysts were expecting vehicle margin of around 11%, and NEO reported vehicle margin of 12.2%, which shows you the kind of recovery that we are seeing coming from our favorite stock, NEO. I mean, think again. Let's process this again. Last year, quarter 2, NEO reported gross margins of 1%, and this quarter 2, they reported a 9.7% gross margins. This shows a very strong recovery coming from NEO, which is something that, like I said, it's also pretty exciting. Now, the non-EV sales or the non-car sales that NEO reported this quarter were around $243 million, representing 11% year over year and 15% quarter to quarter. From Q1 comparing to Q2, it's a 15% increase. This again shows you that these other sales very soon, I said it before, or in fact 2 days ago, and I'll say it again, we are going to get to see NEO reaching $1 billion by just the non-EV sales, because this is where the revenues for battery swapping stations it's included. This is where the charging or the revenues they generate from their charging infrastructure, it's included, and there are all the other NEO lifestyle products, and to see them at $243 million, I must say this is something that is pretty exciting. I'm very happy to see the kind of performance which we saw in this quarter. I mean, yes, some people might say the cash and cash equivalent is coming down, but let's face it, NEO is currently building 2 or 3 factories as it stands, and therefore that process needs a lot of money, which it's not, we are not even worried a bit by this, because we know we are going to definitely, or whatever NEO, the factories that NEO is building, they are going to pay off because they are going to be able to increase their production capacity. So I'm happy, I'm excited, and like I said, NEO, the guidance for Q3, they issued a guidance of between 61 and 63,000 deliveries, which is somewhere between 20,300 deliveries and 23,000 deliveries. I mean, there is a possibility we see NEO delivering at most 23,000 deliveries for the month of September, which is something that is pretty exciting, and we look forward to that. And knowing NEO, I think this confirms that we are going to get, or at least plus 21,000 vehicles for the month of September, which is something that is pretty exciting and we look forward to. So I'm happy about these earnings. NIO pre-market share price is already up 4%, which shows that the market has already, or is already, reacting positive on these results, on these earnings that we just got to receive from NIO. So tell me what you think about this. Blue sky is coming, and NIO, it is a company that is doing exceptionally well. I mean, the guidance is good, the earnings were good, though the cash equivalent maybe has been going down. We understand that it is because of the infrastructure, is because of the factories that NIO is currently busy building to make sure that they cater for the demand that is coming on, not only NIO but also for their sub-brand Firefly, whose sales are expected to commence or start around the end of September. So this is good, man. Finally we got to see the results that we've been waiting for. I told you, and together with some of the other investors, we told you that gross margins are not going to be hurt that much. 9.7% is what NIO saw in terms of gross margins, and the more sales they generate, the more gross margins they are going to increase. So 100% we can safely say in Q3 NIO gross margins is going over 10%. Gross margins for NIO in Q3 are going over 10%. Vehicle margins, I don't even want to think about that because we are already at double digits. This is a huge improvement from NIO. This is something that is pretty exciting, and one of the things that is fueling this is because of the technology, the development that NIO has been doing or bringing to their cars. You'll know that there are some of the chips that are found into the NIO cars that are made for NIO, like the LiDAR sensor chip. These small things that NIO is now developing themselves help improve the gross margins. And for an EV car like Onvo, who they are also using their own operating system, SkyOS, these should make this vehicle to do very well in terms of gross margins also. And we look forward to the Q3 earnings, Q4 earnings, and going further. I think earnings per share loss of 30 cents, it shows that NIO is getting closer and closer to profitability. Very soon we'll be seeing NIO reporting profitability onto their earnings. I did made a prediction or projection that profitability is coming somewhere between Q3 and Q4 of 2024. So if we don't get profitability in Q3, we'll get it in Q4 of 2025, which is something that we look forward to. Otherwise, with all that, I just thought I'd just give you this quick update. Tell me what you think about these earnings. Were they great? Did they meet their expectations? Otherwise, me, I'm very happy. I'm excited. I will take a breather because ever since I woke up, I've been having this stress to say, I wonder the kind of earnings that NIO is going to report. And when I see this, I think blue sky is coming. Those that are persevering through the headwinds will definitely be rewarded in the long term. Otherwise, that's all from me. I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.